from Manitowoc, Wisconsin. I think I pronounced that correctly. Shanna, great to see you all the way out in Washington. By the way, I'm a product of the Pacific Northwest to some extent. I actually lived in Lake Oswego, Oregon for a little bit. Let me go ahead and turn my camera on so you guys can see me. Hector from Mountain View Builders, thanks. I saw you on the video a little bit earlier. Ruby from Ontario, Canada. Ruby, we need to chat. Yes, we are constantly on the lookout for really, really great CPAs who will buy into our business philosophy and what we're doing. All right, Hector, you're in Maryville, Tennessee. Alex, Culti Enterprises, handyman in Arizona. So we are literally all over the country and North America today, which is awesome. I even see some of our friends down in Mexico. And so I want to tell you, thank you for being here. We'll have some more people jumping on, but now's the time. I would love, if you don't mind, and you're in a situation you can be in, I'd love for you to go ahead and turn your camera on. So we can see everybody. I see Mike there. I've seen Mike twice in 1 week. So welcome back home, Mike, up in Wisconsin. Good to see you. I got some friends, John. There's Mark. Good to see you, Mark. Man, it's been a while. All right, Lana, Marina. All right. And then Hector, Ruby. All right, so we've got some folks holding up in the colder part of the countries, on the western part of the countries. Got a few of you from a better crawl out there in Washington. That would be great. Hey, so before we dive in, and I'm going to lay out some housekeeping, but I'm also giving us just a couple of minutes for some stragglers to be able to come in, and I want to make sure that we admit them into this as well. But I would like for you to go into your chat window right now, and I'd like for you to write why you're here. I know the title of what we're going to talk about in terms of this master process roadmap, your business on one sheet of paper. We're going to dive deep. We're going to have some great Q&A around it as well. But I would love to hear, it really helps me be able to tailor this to what you're looking for. This is not some pitched thing that's just trying to get a bunch of people on here so we can get a bunch of numbers. We really want to roll up our sleeves and get some things done here over the next 45 minutes or so. So if you'll go into your chat window and answer this question, why are you here? What is it that you're trying to get out of this particular time together? So John, you said that you guys are currently working on your roadmap. That is perfect timing so that we can dive into some of that as well. Said, Mike Howe, need to run a structured business and no more winging it. Yeah. Mike, I loved it. You and Patrice were talking. Patrice and I, we talked a lot after that you guys talked. And one of the things Patrice is on here. I just saw one of the things that she said. She's like, man, that guy didn't hold anything back. Whatever he's thinking, you're going to hear it. And I loved it. And I thought the same thing when we got to chat. So Hector created a new company. Attaboy, moved from Atlanta up into Tennessee. All right. We'll definitely chat. Randy, you put in there, no camera on this device. No problem at all. You said interested in time management planning. Oh, wow. Okay. So this business on one sheet of paper is going to parlay into weekly schedule and some other things, and we'll show you that as well. Shannon, to learn how to start a roadmap, we will definitely get you started on that. Craig, I want to understand this process. Need to begin somewhere. Great. We'll provide you with a template here in a little bit. No charge for that. We're going to provide that for you guys. Carla, implementing systems and procedures to catch up with exponential growth in our remodeling company. All right. In fact, we've got a lot of remodelers coming out of the ground through the pandemic. And then those who are in new construction, many are pivoting into that world because of the destabilization of some of these things. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Luke, great to see you, man. Good to see you and your brother Peter last week. Hey, remind me, Luke, I'm going to have Thomas text you guys immediately following this so that we can continue that conversation. We started at the International Builder Show last week. Mark Kinney, love the process roadmap. Yes, you do, brother. So we'll see if we can get some more clarity around that for you guys. Keith, working on SOPs. Ooh, this will be the scale opportunity for you. Better organized to boost the company performance. Alex, thank you for saying this. Been flying by the seat of my pants. Not many of you are going to admit that, but man, thanks for admitting that you've been flying by the seat of your pants and need to get serious about growing. Micah, Katrina, working on building process. Jenkins, expanding the SOPs. Marina, written out process and maps are outdated. Ooh, yes, this would be a great time to refresh those. And Ty, even your word, simplify, in that you only wrote one word, simplify. It makes a ton of sense. So great job. And Chelsea, you said, loved seeing the process roadmap at the last session, want to get more tools. Yeah, we actually did a we did a workshop. By the way, we do one-on-one business workshops as well. So let us know if you need something around a particular area. All right, I'm going to monitor. We'll have a couple more people falling in, but I want to honor the time that you've been here and tell you thank you. Number one, for being here. Number two, I mentioned this early in the lead up. Hey, I'm going to ask you to remove distractions. If you don't mind, I'd love for you to take your phones and turn them over and put them on silent. And I would love for you to turn your email off, not minimize it. I'm talking about Control Q. If you're in a Mac, Control Q it, shut it off. I don't use a PC, so I'm not sure what the equivalent is. Probably some sort of Control Shift something. But if you'll turn your email off, Slack channels off, Asana, any project management stuff, just turn it off. I promise you, it will be there when we get done. All right. Just trust me. It will be there when we get done. Okay. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to dive in. And I want you to maximize this time. Here's what I ask. We've offered this to you at no monetary charge. It is going to be a very expensive time commitment for you. This next hour is going to cost you about $200 of your time. And it's cost us a lot in preparation and getting all of this. So while we have not exchanged dollars, we have exchanged minutes and hours, and that is more expensive than the dollar. So I'm going to ask you to honor that time here in the next little bit and really engage. Here's what my promise is to you. I will make this very much entertaining, engaging, worth your time, and we're going to give you a tool that you'll be able to walk away with. So you will not be able to leave this going, man, they didn't give us anything or leave us with anything. That will be on you. All right. So I'm going to put that onus on you as we get there. Okay. Alan, you said your private lender's based in the NYC. All right. Hey, thank you. And thank you all so much, literally from all over the country. It's great to see everybody here. Hey, just give me a thumbs up to make sure you can see my slide. It says Master Process Roadmap. Everybody good? Okay. And it sounds like my audio is coming in nicely as well. And so we got one more person coming in, and now we are going to dive in. All right. So let's talk about this idea of your entire business on one sheet of paper. It is possible because we know it as coaches. We're doing it all over the country. We see it all over the map. And I'm going to give you actually 3 examples at the end of this. So you actually see 3 live process roadmaps and what those actually look like. All right. Some of you have heard me, if you've been at a Build Expo, you heard me give this example. Imagine the day that a lady named Josephine comes walking into your workspace. She opens up this combo lock suitcase and says, hey, I'm ready to buy your business at 4 times multiples of your annual earnings in cash right here on the spot with 2 conditions. So get that again. I'm ready to buy your business at 4 times multiple. Now, most of yours would not go for 4 times multiples, but for 4 times multiples, but there's 2 conditions. First, number 1, we have to be able to run the business the exact same way that you run your business right now. From the sales calls to the payroll schedule, to the lead generation, to the production and everything in between, right? I will not require, Josephine says, you to stay on an earn-out, meaning you can walk away. But we need the entire business roadmap that you have so that your customers never feel the switch. There's one other condition that Josephine gives you. Number 2, you have 30 minutes to make your decision. And we'll expect the roadmap to be in our hands and training to begin immediately. Only from that roadmap. No more winging it, right? No more winging it. You will not be allowed to wing it anymore. Here's the question. Could you do it? You might say, well, no one would ever do that. Actually, we've seen crazier. And I see, Alan, you guys are lending partners here. I'm sure you guys have seen crazier as well. Then we could say, well, that's totally reasonable to expect that a business owner would have her entire business mapped out. Or is it? We can say with definition that your business is certainly more sellable with a comprehensive roadmap in place, in the same way that we can say that your vacation will be infinitely more enjoyable with a roadmap showing you how to get there and how it's budgeted for. So, of course, this entire example may be totally lost on you because, well, frankly, you've never had the intention of selling your business anyway. That's okay. No problem. But wouldn't you like your business to depend less on you and instead compensate your intentional time, your meaningful freedom, and the money to be able to pay for it all? Don't you want your business to facilitate your passions and your convictions and to serve others without killing yourself? Well, we've determined through our own experience that about 16 out of 20 small business owners are being owned by their business, which means that even if they wanted to sell, no one would ever pay to own a business that owns them. And let's be honest, when we go around the room here with all 30 or 40 of you, that some of your businesses is owning you. So how do we break out of that prison of our business owning us? How do we finally get off of that treadmill that keeps going round and round and round? How do we stop putting out fires all day long and feeling pulled in 17 different directions? Super Bowl's this weekend. How do we stop throwing Hail Marys every single day, right? We've got to start thinking through that. So one way is to simply continue to do things the way we've always done them. Of course, we know where that leads, right? That leads to total insanity. The other way is to replicate the delivery of every part of our small business and make it so predictable that it can run the exact same way that we would run it, even if Josephine was running it. Remember that old Jewish phrase? God's talking to a Jewish prophet named Habakkuk. And he says this, he says, write the vision down so that those who read it may run. Well, the same is true for the processes that make up the vision. Write the vision down, or we could translate it into write the processes down so that those who read it and implement them may run the business. Did you know that it was an option that the business doesn't have to own you? Did you know that you don't have to feel like you're on a treadmill? Did you know that owning a small business doesn't have to feel like a daily cliff dive with no visibility and no parachute? Owning a small business can be the ultimate opportunity to serve customers, employees, virtual assistants, contractors, vendors, your local community, a global community, all at the same time. That's right. Your business can be a massive force for living out your small convictions and your big convictions, but it will never get there by doing the things that got you to this point. Some of you are at 2 employees and you want to get to 5. Well, you're not going to be able to get there getting to the next, right? Some of you are at 10 employees, you want to get to 15 or 20. Some of you are at 25, you want to get to 50. How you're going to get to that next threshold will not be done in the same way that you've done the other way. Hey, I want to show you a picture. This is an actual picture out of the back side of my house. By the way, I just got a note that asked, there's a verse, I mentioned Habakkuk. For those of you who actually have an Old Testament or see an Old Testament, you can look this up, Habakkuk 2:2. Habakkuk 2:2. And so you can look at that. Hold on, let me put this, everyone in this meeting. So I'll put that in the chat window. And if you have any other questions about that, let me know, of course. But this picture that I'm showing you is an actual view out of the backside of my house. There's this old oak trees. There's a little stream that runs back there. And as I looked back there while I was writing this out, it's a constant reminder of the real living, breathing processes that have been created in our natural world. See, that little creek that I told you about will actually come in about 7 to 9 feet of water every single day. In fact, not only every single day, but every 6 hours, 12 minutes, 30 seconds, you can look it up. The tide comes in 7 to 9 feet and the tide goes out 7 to 9 feet. When I left my house this morning, there was no water in my backyard. If I were to go back in 6 hours, 12 minutes, 30 seconds, there would be about 7 to 8 feet of water in the same place. See, the tides are a process. Just like the Earth's rotations and the seasons are processes, processes are simply a series of repeatable actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. And when a process is not in place, what you may get is creative, but it will not be repeatable creativity. Did you notice what I just said there? It may be creative, but it's not repeatable creativity. And what it's going to require is a new creation of the wheel every time somebody has to do that same process. Accounts receivable, job costing, payables, going and doing aging reports, setting up, taking out the trash, whatever it is that you do. I know some of you are in the millwork business, high-end cabinetry business. We've got a client actually in Beaufort, South Carolina, who's in that business. He used to work 70 to 75 hours a week. Going through this process changed his life because he had such great creativity in the high-end millwork, but it was not repetitive creativity that he could train other people with. And so what we want is we want the replication of the original creativity. See, I'm so glad that the sunrise and the sunset are a process because it's something that I can look forward to and enjoy on repeat with great predictability. When you're starting a business, every time you bake that cake or you repair that break or you stack that crate, right? You're doing something that could be processed so that you never have to do it again. Or you don't. When you process all the individual steps, you are equipping, empowering others to bake that cake, to fix that break, to start, you get the rhyming, right? So that you can focus on the other elements of serving customers like payables, receivables, inventory, office management, the operational process, whatever it is, so that you can focus on those things. That's where we want your time and your attention to be able to focus. Then once those are processed, then you're able to get back to the important work of equipping and empowering others to facilitate the payables, the receivables, the inventory, the operational process, and the office management. See, your job as an owner and a key leader is not necessarily doing the thing, even though you're used to doing the thing. We want you to be able to focus on generating new leads, onboarding new customers, or even building the processes for somebody else to do those things. Then once those things are processed, then you again are able to equip and to empower. You seeing a cycle here? And then rinse and repeat. So I think you see where this is going. Imagine that you had every process in your business completely documented. They couldn't be written down. So you're thinking, well, Scott, not in my business. I want to challenge you. It can be recorded on video. You could even hire a full Broadway dance company to come and perform your processes every day. Although that might get a little dicey and a little pricey, but it would be really cool if you did it. But just imagine, just like NASA has every single detail of flying a spaceship to the moon documented. Imagine that you had every process in your business documented. We just started an internship program a couple of weeks ago. Jesse Barber, our director of client connections, actually built the entire program. And we've got an intern, a 17-year-old guy at a local school here. And we just sent him out this past Tuesday to go on site with an exteriors contracting company. They do stucco, siding, rock, that sort of thing on the exteriors, both commercial and residential. And they kept saying, we don't have time. We don't have time. We don't have time. It's too complicated. So we called their bluff. We sent in a 17-year-old kid with an iPhone, and he walked around with one of their site superintendents and videoed every process of hanging, every single process of hanging those things out there. Can you believe that? And he came back, put it in the video, and put it up on their process roadmap. Guys, it's not rocket science, even though we're talking about NASA. Then once you have those things documented, you can focus the majority of your time, instead of on training the process to capable people who can replicate the brilliance and the creativity of what you did. McDonald's did it. Shoot, every franchise has done it. Well, Scott, I don't want to be a robotic, nameless franchise. No, I get it. Even though when you buy a franchise, you're essentially buying a process roadmap. By the way, federally, it's a 200-page process roadmap. They call it a federal disclosure document, FDD. A franchise has to write one every single year or update it every single year and submit it to the federal government. You know what it is? It's a 200-page document of the step-by-step process of how to run your business. So guys, if McDonald's and Five Guys can do it, why can't we? And it walks you step by step on how to make a hamburger, or how to pick up garbage, or how to unload a truck, or change brake pads, or build websites. Franchises exist for each of those services and thousands more. There are franchise home building companies, franchise M&A firms, franchise CPA firms, whatever it is. I'm not saying you want to do that, but it's so much more fun to run a sellable business so that others can be equipped to run your business with the same clarity and the same focus that you run it with. See, it can happen. So welcome everybody to the Master Process Roadmap. On this one magical sheet of paper, you will document the title of every major process that makes your business work. Now, I want to give you a heads up before I continue. We're going to move into some workshop time. And I'm looking at the number right here. We have 43 of you valuable owners and key leaders on this call. You are our heroes on this call. While we have our heroes on this call, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm only 20 minutes into this, and we're not going to go a whole lot more longer, maybe 30 to 40, 45 total in capacity. So 20, 25 more minutes max. When we go into our workshop time, you're going to be tempted to X out of this and go, I don't need this. I'm going to challenge you. I don't care how far along you are in the process game with your business. I'm going to challenge you to leverage this time to refresh it, to go back into it, and to focus on this one magic sheet. And I'm using air quotes. It's a digital sheet of paper, but you get the point. You could print it out if you wanted to. And so there's going to be lots of repetitious implementation to create a repeatable business that pushes you towards the vision, consistently lives out your mission, and is completely in line with your unique core values. Wait a second, Scott, I hear those all the time. What's the difference? A vision is the future destination of your business. It's a detailed snapshot of the future of your business. Notice I said detailed, multiple pages of detail of what the future of your business looks like. What's your mission? Your mission is a 10 to 12 word or less statement that grabs the power-packed punch of your business. For Business on Purpose, our mission is to liberate owners from chaos so that you can make time for what matters most. And then your unique core values are those 3 to 5 unique values that are unique to you, but maybe we don't really buy into. Now, some of you are like, oh, no, Scott, don't worry. We've got those. Excellence, integrity, respect, and responsibility. Actually, no, those were the 4 core values of Enron before they imploded in Houston in 2001. I'm not talking about shared values across our society. I'm talking about what are your unique core values. Well, with this one magic sheet of paper, you will have built a curriculum of training that will allow you to push towards that vision, to live out that mission, and to live within those values and feel like you're running a full-scale business university for your team. And the good news is everybody can do it. Training will become a hallmark of your small business. The product will become less and less the focus for you, and training your team to deliver a great product will increase the habit of time. So talk to a business owner, and we talked to hundreds of them throughout the year, actually thousands. We spoke in front of 1,800 business owners last year. And the one thing that we will constantly hear them preach is the equipping and training of their team. And yet it's the one thing that you struggle most with. See, talent grows as training grows. You may want to write that down. Talent grows as training grows. Yet too many of us rely on raw talent and get burned to the end. So give me a world-class training with average talent who implements every day over world-class talent and average training. Did you get that? I'll take world-class training with average talent every day over world-class talent with average training. The little-known secret is that when you begin to offer world-class to average talent, the talent will eventually rise to the training. So let me show you how to build a process roadmap that will buy you time for what matters most and will get you off of the treadmill. Now, I asked you earlier to write some things down as to why you were here. And so as we go through this, I think you're going to begin to see and uncover those things as to why you're here. So now I'm going to ask you to lock in, to limit your distractions, to roll up your sleeves, to get out a sheet of paper and a pen, but I'm also going to equip you with a template, but I'm not going to do it yet because you'll get distracted if I do it. But I'm going to do that in just a minute. So let me show you the process roadmap to get you off that treadmill. You can screenshot this already if you want, just in case you don't believe that I'm going to give you a template, but trust me, I will here just shortly give you that template. So on this one sheet of paper, this one magical sheet of paper, you see all these boxes. And on this sheet of paper, you have 4 major systems that exist in every business. Now, we've got to talk about this for just a second, because so many of you think, well, Scott, my business is unique because, right? I'm a CPA, I'm a financial advisor, I'm a home builder, I'm a dentist, I'm a doctor, I'm a millwork, I'm a millwright, I do remodels, I do whatever. We've got a variety of different people. 75% of our clients, just so you know, are in the contractor or contractor support space. They're home builders, remodelers, commercial contractors, designers, subs, electricians, architects, designers, anybody supporting the contractor space. About 3 out of every 4 of our clients are in that world. And you know what we found, whether or not we work with the medical profession, we work with real estate professionals, we work with back office dental professionals, we work with a variety of different people. And you know what we found? Every single business has 4 major systems. Everyone, without exception, has 4 major systems. And they go in this order. Marketing tells the world we're here. Sales converts and says, we're going to work together. Operations, which fulfills our service and the agreement that we agreed upon during the sales process. And administration, the accounting, the HR, all of the back end stuff to help support the fulfillment, which pulls through on the sales agreement and the contract, which backs up what we're doing right now, the marketing, the sharing, the telling the world that we're here, right? And so every business has 4 major systems: marketing, sales, operations and admin, and anything else you can think of will usually fit within one of those four major systems. So let's go back to the process roadmap, because every major system fits on our roadmap. Now, technically, I should probably move the marketing and sales on the left side, and then the operations in the third, and the administrative on the other side. So maybe flip this a little bit, but you do what you want to do with it. But all four systems. Now, you're going to be tempted to add a fifth and a sixth and a seventh and an eighth. Please don't do that yet. In fact, I'm going to encourage you to wait a year or 3 years before you would add another system. And let's just do the basics of the process roadmap before we get in. All right. So now we're about to start on our workshop. This is about the point that you're going to be tempted to look at your phone, to look at your email, to hit X out of this and leave. Please don't, because now's the time we're going to do the hard work. I've given you some motivation. I've given you some background. I've given you some insight, but the real work starts right now. So here's what I want you to do. You can either do this on a document on your computer, or you can just do it on a sheet of paper. A sheet of paper is going to give you less distraction. I'm going to ask, if you do this on your computer, on a notes page or on a word processing page or something like that, please leave everything else closed so you're not distracted. All right. If you want some accountability, for those of you who don't, you can turn your camera on and we can watch you. See, we're coaches. We push people. We hold people accountable, and we call you to the carpet on the hard things. And so if you want a little bit extra accountability, turn your camera on and we'll watch you. We got a couple coaches sprinkled, by the way. I've asked them to move some of their coaching schedules around, and we've got a couple of them sprinkled, and they're eyeballing to take a look. So here's what I want you to do. I want you on that sheet of paper to simply do a brain dump. And on that brain dump, you're going to start to write down the process. So for example, now here's where I want you to use your chat window really quick. And all of you in your administrative process, actually, let me get a couple of things. A couple of you have messaged me privately, and I want to make sure that these pop back up. So Patrice, I'm going to send these to you. Actually, I just outed one of our coaches, but that's okay. Let me send this to her really quick. Okay, one more. Okay, actually, this is a question I'm going to ask of everybody, and it was a question given to me privately, so I won't tell you your name, but the question was this: how do you ensure your processes are not stolen and replicated by employees who leave? All right. So I'm going to put that out here for everybody to be able to see, and please remind me, because I'm going to answer that question during our Q&A time. All right. So how do you ensure your processes aren't stolen and replicated by employees who leave? So I'm going to leave that anonymous just to ask that question because it was sent to me privately, but we're going to come back to it. All right. So here's what I want you to do in the chat window right now. I want you to name one process that exists in your administrative system. All right. Just make it up. I don't care if you feel right or wrong. I want everybody to put in the chat window right now, what's one process, if I were to come into your business and say, hey, let's open up the door to your administrative system within your business. What's one process in there? Keith, you put invoicing. Perfect. That's a process in everybody's administrative system. Reviewing, approving time clock per job, assessment scheduling, payroll, onboarding. Yes, Chelsea. We talk about that a lot, obviously. Luke, you put recruiting, accounts payable. Ruby, documentation of discussions. Check-ins. Marina, hiring, invoicing. John, you put KPIs. Mike Howe. Hey, John, I'm gonna push on you a little bit. Give me an example of a KPI to put on there. Job costing. Yes, obviously in the construction industry. Laura, invoicing. Craig, scheduling. Hector, subcontractor, COIs. Okay, certificate of insurance. Yes, all of these things are great examples of administrative process. All right, let me test you again. Let's go to the operational side for you. In your operations, this is your actual product delivery, building, manufacturing, delivering, service delivery, whatever it is. I want you to give me one operational process within your business right now. So if we open the operational door, what are those processes? Ty, give me one checklist specifically. Caleb, talk to me about a specific cataloging. So let's drill down a little bit. Again, I'm a coach. I'm going to push you. Micah, your quality control around your delivery, your design process. I didn't see, Carler, drill down on that. What aspect of design is a big chunk of design when you say that? What aspect of that? Craig, you said tax return prep, big season for you right now. Marina, service wash process. All right. Kimberly, purchase of raw materials. Luke, estimating. Great. All right. Those are great examples of operational process. All right. Now let's move. Marketing. Give me an example of a marketing process that currently exists in your business. This tells the world we're here, right? Give me an example of one marketing process that exists in your business. Okay. The Jenkins team, the newsletter, John, your Google Ads process, business card process, website maintenance process. Ty, grooming. Yes. We actually have a lot of businesses. We've helped them build a grooming process, wearing a clean shirt, right? Website update, closed group, job photos. Nothing is too small for this, guys. Membership meetings. Excellent. All right. Great job. Now stay engaged with me. Let's move to the final system of sales. Ooh, this one's going to get kind of tough, because you're going to have a tendency to confuse marketing with sales, or sometimes operations with sales. So give me a sales process. Keith, you put lead qualifying. All right. For some, that may be sales. For others, it may be marketing. You've got to decide on what that is. It's usually a bridge between the two. Jenkins, you put initial client meeting. Yes. Once you've signed the contract, you meet with them. Writing a bid, client meetings, collecting the deposit. That's part. Yes. Writing proposals, client follow-up. Yes. Hey, by the way, if you don't have a process for this, new client onboarding, a needs analysis from Ruby. Okay, so you guys are starting to see. All right, now here's what I'm going to ask you to do. On your sheet of paper, I want you to go ahead and start with any system you want. You can start with admin, ops, marketing, or sales. I don't care. I want you to brain dump every single process you can possibly think about within the next 3 minutes. I'm going to play some music for 3 minutes, and I want you to brain dump every single process that you can possibly think of in one system. I want you to exhaust it, all right? Every element. Now, if you are just spent and exhausted and the 3 minutes is not up, that's okay. You can move to the next system, but please don't move until you have really spent yourself on writing this stuff out, all right? Then I'm going to give you access to the template later so you can go backfill it, but I don't want you to do that now because I don't want you to be distracted. So here we go. 3 minutes. The clock's going to start right now. I want you to do a brain dump of every process you can think of within one of those systems. All right, let's go. By the way, if you've got any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat window. And if you want a little accountability, go ahead and turn your camera on. We'll eyeball you a little bit. Not in a creepy way, though. Not in a creepy way.
Me wind and rain, you're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby, and twist myself at the spine. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead of my time. Oh, but I don't wanna miss you, baby. So I stand up and speak my mind.
All right, just so you know, we got about 1 minute left. 1 minute left, all right? And so I think everybody's still here, but if you're just coming in, everybody's taking about 3 minutes. We've got 1 minute left to brain dump every possible process you can imagine in one of those systems. Marketing, sales, admin, ops. All right, take about 45 more seconds.
You're chilling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't
Again, as you have questions, just put those in the chat window. Be monitoring that. All right, 3 minutes. Great job. So I'm curious, for those of you who have your cameras on, is anybody can a few of you just hold up what you wrote down? If you wrote it down on a sheet of paper, some of you did. Hector, I see some of your stuff there. Awesome. Chelsea. God, Chelsea crushed it. Great job. All right. Teacher's pet. Look at her. No, I'm teasing. All right. Great job. Okay. So I want you to write down in the chat any questions that you've got that as you were doing that, just what jumped in your head. So Ruby, great job. You wrote, she actually shares her brain dump here. Exit planning, scheduling time with partners to stay up to date, clarity, the need of the owner. By the way, anybody else who wrote it down on the computer, if you want to copy and paste in the chat window, go ahead. You can paste that so everybody can see that. We really learn a lot from each other when we do that. Okay, so let me show you some examples of what some real life process roadmaps looks like. Ooh, look at that. God, some of you are like, how do I get that? Actually, I don't remember if it was Chelsea, maybe it was you or somebody. No, they were with Olive Branch. They looked at this and they went, how do I get that? And I said, well, that takes a little while to build, as they all do. But I want you to notice they actually embedded this into their website. So if you look up here, right there, that / portal. So they actually hired a developer, very inexpensive, about $50 an hour. And that developer actually embedded all of this stuff into their website. Can you imagine how sellable this business is? They don't want to sell, but if a buyer showed up and said, oh my gosh, here's your entire business literally on one portal. Well, one of those elements for the portal is the master process roadmap. And so when you click that link, this is what pops up right there, the master process roadmap. And so you can see they've got now operationally for them, it's a commercial residential construction company. They do remodels as well. And they've gone through. So every item that's on here is linked. Every single one. This is a slide, so I can't hover. But if I were to hover over this in real time, you would see it pop up. The actual process would pop up. Now, don't be intimidated by this. This is taken a few years to build out over time. Your process roadmap is never 100% complete. It's always about 90, 95% complete, right? So you start where you're at before you start comparing yourself. But I want to give you a vision of what it could look like. Now, for those of you who are in different elements, this is a law firm. So that was a construction company. This is a law firm. You can see their operations is pretty broad, but then their marketing and sales, look at their sales column. Very simplistic, right? No big deal. Because in a law firm, it's a lot of transactional stuff that you just come in, you put down some money, and you meet with your person. So there's really not a whole lot to it from a sales conversion standpoint. Then we got to talking, and we thought, well, heck, let's just show you ours as a business, lest you think that your beloved coaches don't operate by the same Kool-Aid that we ask you to drink. This is actually ours. Sorry, it's a little fuzzy because we had to blow it up. But again, this is not a live version of it. It's a screenshot version, so I could get it in the slides. But basically, everywhere that you see a box, you can click on that element or that box, and it will pull up the process. So theoretically, if something happened to all of us at Business on Purpose, any of you could start running this business. Now, would you do it as well as we do right now? No, of course not. And we wouldn't do it as well as you, but you would have the starting point. You would know exactly where to go. And so it's a huge opportunity to get your entire business on one sheet of paper, which is an incredibly powerful option. All right. So you've seen a home builder, you've seen an attorney's office, you've seen a business coaching firm to be able to do that here. So here's what I'm going to do now. All right. I'm going to trust you enough to go ahead and share the template with you. So this is a template that we actually use for all of our clients. A lot of people pay a lot of money for these sorts of things, and especially in context of being able to do this. We like to be able to offer this as a little option for you. So this is our master process roadmap template. And I'm going to put the link here. Now, before I do, you will not be able to edit what I send to you. All you'll do is it'll pull up in a Google document. You'll go to File, Make a Copy. File, make a copy. Once you make a copy, you'll get a copy of your own, and you can edit it as much as you want. All right. Really, really simple to be able to do, but you won't be able to edit this. And if you will, please don't hit that request to share, we will deny that because this is a master template. We do not want it changed. And if we give you access to it, you'll start changing the actual template. So if you do a request to share, you will not hear back from us about that. Instead, go to File, make a copy, and make your own copy once we open it up. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. There you go. So go ahead and open that, and I'll see a number of you come in as you come into that just to make sure it's working. All right, I see a number of you booting it up already. Wow, a lot of you booting it up already. All right, great. Dang, almost all of you. Great job. Thank you. That's awesome to see. Okay, so if you've just come in, make sure to go to the chat window and open up that template. And then you're going to take that template and all the things that you documented down, you're going to be able to start writing those down. Now, many of you are going to ask, well, what if I need more boxes? I'm going to ask you to figure that out on your own. All right. This is called a Google drawing. All you have to do is search videos on how to manipulate a Google drawing. Most of you will be able to figure this out. It's not super hard, but it's a nice little feature. And remember, simple, simple, simple. People are like, Scott, you guys have really cool software. We're like, no. You don't understand. We work with business owners. We've got to, and not that they're stupid, they're busy. They're busy. And so we try to keep things very simplistic. We'll get asked the question all the time. Hey, Scott, what's the best software to use? Our response is whatever one you'll actually use. That's the best one because they're all really, really good. Okay. So most of you have that template opened up and you can see how you can start manipulating that in there. Hey, if you don't mind, go into one box, just double click into one box. And I want you to type one process just so you get the feel of it and what it looks like. And once you have this, this is your entire business and your entire narrow brilliance on one sheet of paper. This is your offering to the world. But there's still something missing, all right? So come back to me really, really quick, all right? So go ahead and minimize that, pull up the screen again so that you can see this word implementation. The final missing piece to the power of pushing towards adopting the right software tools for you and your team is this, implementation. Listen, I will take a half-baked plan with full implementation any day over the perfect plan, the perfect software over half-baked implementation. I quote an author, Joe Calloway, wrote a great book called Magnetic, and I read this in that book. And he says this, vision without implementation is hallucination. Vision without implementation is hallucination. I'm laughing at my friends from the Pacific Northwest up there in Washington. When I lived in Portland, Oregon, I'll never forget, my dad was driving me to a baseball game one time on a Saturday morning, early on a Saturday morning. And I looked at this field that I've seen 100 times and nobody was ever in it. And all of a sudden on this particular morning, the field was filled with people bent over. And I said, Dad, what are those people doing? It is my dad's first sort of big boy talk about the power of hallucinogenic mushrooms. And so anyway, listen, vision without implementation is no different than what those people were doing with the mushrooms. It leads to hallucination. But if you'll take time to build out proper software with proper processes, you will have greater clarity in the who of your business. And you'll begin to live out your business on purpose. Now, I want to draw your attention in the chat window. I did not ask Jesse to do this. Jesse is our director of client connections. And I want you to see what she just wrote to all of you. Some of you might be offended by what she just wrote. Just jumping on a masterclass does not count as working on your business if you don't actually work on your business afterwards. You've got an opportunity right now, if you want, to once we end this, and we're not done yet, got a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to give you the signal to be able to end, and we're going to hang on for Q&A, all right? But if you want, if I would have kept this masterclass going till 2:15, most of you would have stayed on till 2:15. I'm not. I'm going to keep you on for about 3 or 4 or 5 more minutes, and then after that, you have a choice. You can either sit right there, keep your rear end in that seat that you're in, and continue to work on your business, filling out the rest of this process roadmap, or you can be taken by distractions. The choice is going to be up to you. All right. So here's what I want you to do. You're here because you want to grow. You want to be freed from the chaos of working in your business. I threw a lot at you today in a very limited amount of time. So if you're interested in taking this conversation offline, let me rephrase this. I'm going to rephrase this. There are some of you on this masterclass right now. You need a coach. You need to be coached. And you don't need this to waste this opportunity because you're surrounded by business coaches right now. So here's what I want you to do. I've asked our director of coaching to move his schedule around a little bit. And we have an application process before you can come in. We've actually got an ideal client checklist before you can come in and we get a chance to work with you. So this is Thomas Joyner, our director of coaching. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to apply to be coached. Doesn't mean you're going to get in. We've got a very scripted process. Actually, we'll even show it to you when we have a conversation. It's a 26-point ideal client checklist that we go through. But before we do that, we have an application process. Some of you need to be coached. You need a coach. So any of you who are between 2 and 50 employees, you want to grow and you feel like you're constantly putting out fires and you need to build these sorts of things out. This does not guarantee you a slot, by the way, and it doesn't mean you're going to pay us anything. What it means is we're going to have a big grown-up conversation about you and your business and what we can provide to get you to where you want to go. All right. But we're not going to do it unless you're willing to spend a little bit of time filling out a very short application. And we're going to ask you for some information around that. We're going to ask you your total revenue. We're going to ask you your cost of goods. If you don't know your cost of goods, that's okay. But we're going to ask you some other elements of that. And you're going to share that with us. Of course, we keep it private and we'll meet with you about it. But I want some of you to apply for coaching right now. So you can do it one of two ways. Hold up your phones. Again, if you're over the age of 40, some of you heard me say this in Vegas last week. If you're over the age of 40, don't take a picture of that. It's a QR code. So just hold your camera up to it. A link will pop up when you hover it over there. Click on that link, or you can go to that link at the bottom, mybusinessonpurpose.com/application. Now, reminder, we're going to get to Q&A here in just a second. But if you go to mybusinessonpurpose.com/application, we're not selling you anything right here. We're inviting you to apply to have a conversation with a coach. And from there, we will be very upfront with you as to whether or not we're somebody that can offer you value. And if not, we have people who work with businesses smaller than what we work with. And we've got consultants who work with businesses bigger than what we work with. And so we can get you off to the right person based on what you need. Okay. So once you do this, let me go ahead and show you what this is going to look like. So this is the actual application that will pop up. You'll click to start here, and then you'll begin to go through the application. It's a very professional, very formal process that we're going to ask you to do. Okay. But for now, we want you to go ahead and fill that out. All right. So we've got that up. Here's what I want you to do. We're going to move into a series of Q&A, of question and answer. Don't come all this way, get to the very end and not ask a question. You've got business coaches on the call with you right now. Take advantage of it. All right. So I want you to jump in if you don't mind, because we've got so many. Go ahead and go to the chat window and type in. You can either send it to me privately, which is fine if you don't feel comfortable asking your question sort of quote out loud, or you can just send it to the whole group. And so go to your chat window and you can put your questions here. All right. I'm also going to put that link to the application, mybusinessonpurpose.com/application. So if you just need to either click that or copy and paste it, you can do that as well. But I want everybody to go ahead and put their questions in the chat window. And I want to go back. One of the questions that you had asked earlier was this: how in the world do I know that I don't put in all this time and effort and one of my employees goes and steals all this stuff, right? Well, you're not alone. We get that question all the time. There's a couple of thoughts around that I want to remind you about. Number one, what if they do? Do you honestly think they're going to implement at the level that you're going to implement? No, they won't. We've seen it time and time again. There early on, and when we started this business in 2015, there was at one point, we had 4 different new construction home building companies building in the same neighborhood that we were coaching at the same time. Now, we let them all know, they all knew, but we were coaching them at the same time in the same neighborhood, not even just the same town. And they were saying, well, Scott, what if you tell this person what you're telling us? Well, what if we do? The reality is, at the end of the day, you still have to implement. They still have to go implement. And the likelihood of them implementing the way that you implement is going to be very distant. And the reality is 95% of people won't do that. Yeah, they'll copy and paste. They'll take a picture. They'll do all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, they're not going to do the hard work that you're going to do. And so here would be my response to you is, they might, but don't worry about it. I've got a very dear friend, Dan Miller, who wrote a great book called 48 Days to the Work You Love. And I remember being in Dan's office and he and I were chit-chatting, and he showed me another book. And it was a book in a language I didn't understand. And it turns out it was Russian. And it was 48 Days to the Work You Love in Russian. I was like, oh, Dan, that's super cool. How'd you get that done? And he goes, I didn't. Somebody pirated my book and translated it in Russian. and Telugu and Chinese and Mandarin Chinese and Spanish and Italian. And he just keeps going on and on. I'm like, Dan, like, what are you going to do? Are you sue him? And he's like, no, man. He said, it's free publicity for me to get out. I'm like, oh my gosh. He said, Scott, I don't make money on books. He's a New York Times bestseller. And he doesn't make money on books. He makes money by being Dan Miller and the value that he offers to people. You make money on the value you offer to people, not on your process roadmap. But your process roadmap allows you to offer value. Allows you to offer value. All right. Okay, Marina, you asked a really good question. You know what? I'm going to pull up a live process roadmap to answer your question around this. So let me go do this. Actually, I'll use our business as the model example for this. So let me pull this up real quick. I want you to notice something around our process roadmap. I can do this because this is our team. But right up here, we actually have our process roadmap booked front and center for everybody on our team. We ask them to put it on their web browser right there so they can always get access to it. I'll tell you what I pulled mine up earlier today for. So I pulled it up. We have standard logo colors, branded colors. And so I go down here, see if I can blow this up so you can see it once it loads up a little bit more. And Marina, I'll answer your question. Just a reminder, if you missed that, go to that mybusinessonpurpose.com/application link right there and make sure you're filling out that application. Again, some of you need to be coached, or you at least need to have a conversation. Again, Peter and Luke, Thomas is going to text you guys directly. And there was somebody else. Oh, it was Mike. Patrice is going to reach out and you guys are going to chat and reach out directly. So, but anyway, everybody else, make sure you go fill that out to have that talk. So I was looking for branded and logo colors. Well, look right here. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to guess when we're building some sort of spreadsheet, because we're on our spreadsheets with our colors, with our fonts, with all that. So all I did was drill down on this. Now, let me show you how fancy this is, right? So you're like, oh man, this is going to be really fancy, right, Scott? No, not at all. It's what we'll use. So we drill down on this. Notice I hover. There it is. But I'll go ahead and click on it for you, Marina, so you can see it. And so this isn't necessarily a process, but it's a set of standards, okay? So we've got that. So I used, if you go back and look at our slides, by the way, you'll notice something here. If I click on this word and come up to the color and click custom, look at that number, 133,660, 133,660. So I know I'm on brand with what we're doing because I'm following our process. Now, let me give you another example of a process that we've got. Let's do, that would be a process. See, a lot of these are tools that we've got. All right, how about our installation roadmap, which actually takes us to a folder. So this is our core roadmap that we walk clients through early on in our process. And so when you go in there, our actual step-by-step process is actually mapped out right here. And you'll see it here in just a second when it loads up. But this is our step-by-step prescriptive roadmap that when we're working with a client, this holds us, sorry, that's the roadmap. It's our installation roadmap. Actually, Marina, because you asked us that question, you found a broken link for us. And so when we put on the installation roadmap, again, sorry, Google's slow when I'm on Zoom, but it'll pop up here in just a second. And it's the same thing that many of you can see a lot of times behind me is what we do. All right, let me find another one because that one's not working. All right, we've got coaches meeting. All of our annual letters that we write are right here. We've got our coaches notes. I won't show you that because that's what we work on with clients. Our annual coaching plan is a template. It's a step-by-step template that we walk clients through in the second and third year of their client engagement with us. So we keep them on track with everything that we're doing. So there's your step-by-step process, Marina, of exactly what that looks like. What first meeting, second meeting, the homework in between, the goal for each quarter, that pushed accountability in what we do, and all of that. So Marina, let me know if that answers your question. Chelsea, you put in here, would you recommend business owners delegate the responsibility of creating and documenting process to team leads? Oh my gosh, really, really good questions. What's a comfortable timeline to achieve 90-95% completion? On the second question, I would say 6 to 12 months to get to 90-95% completion, sometimes 18, but 6 to 12 is, I think, pretty comfortable. And then would you recommend business owners delegating? Delegating the actual building of the processes? Yes. Completely abdicating the build out of the process roadmap? No, because the owner has to buy into this. If the owner doesn't buy in, the team will not. And the team needs to see that the owner is actually doing something with these processes. Now, Chelsea, I'm going to give you another question that will be good for you to ask. And that question is, when do we look at this stuff? That goes back to your weekly team meeting. There should be a line item on your weekly team meeting that you go back to constantly. And that line item on your weekly team meeting, actually, you talk about your master process roadmap and just how live in front of you, you saw a broken link. Well, now Jesse's on here. She sees that. She's going to update it by our next team meeting and have that link repaired so that it's in there. So weekly team meetings is when you actually review this stuff. All right. Got another question here. So my company is very fresh and new. We do not have a solid customer base or even a flow of income yet. Okay. I thought we might have a couple on this call like that. Is this still something your coaching can still help me with, or should I wait till we get things fully running and then apply for your coaching? Oh, thanks for asking that question. Let me touch on your question as it relates to the process roadmap first, and then I'll answer the coaching question second. It's a direct message, so I'm not going to say your name. That's why I'm not saying it. The first is, you need to start building a process roadmap the second you start your business. People ask us, should I start it when I start up, or am I too late to it? It's the old Chinese proverb, right? When's the best time to plant a tree? Today. Second best time is today, 10 years from today, even though we should have done this 10 years ago, right? So if you haven't done this and you're 10 years down the road, A, congratulations that you made it 10 years. B, start it today. Don't worry about what you've missed. If you're just starting up a business, then what you do is you begin your process roadmap now. Now, your question to me was, is this something that your coaching can help with? I'm going to give you two answers to that question. Number one, we've got boundaries that we will walk you through as a coach. If you're not ready for us, we will tell you up front, and we'll also give you a timeline, and we'll give you some next steps that you can begin working on and a time to reconnect with us 3 months or 6 months or 12 months down the road. All right. So we're not in this game to just try to like sell. We really, really want to be valuable. With that being said, I have to be honest that when I started our business in 2015, we had zero income, and I was paying a full-time coach more money than I should have. And I will tell you definitively that this business would not be where we're at today, 8 team members serving 61 business owners around the country, without me having a full-time coach to guide me. This thing would have gone off the rails a whole lot faster. And so, but let one of our coaches walk you through that, because we've got formulas based on revenue and projected revenue where we will tell you whether or not you can both afford it with money and time. Okay. So if you don't mind doing that, again, I'm not going to call your name out because you direct message me around that. But if you don't mind, go ahead and apply anyway, and we'll get you on a call. Ty, you said we're starting to use QR codes. And again, I've got that application link right there up on the screen. I know it's not full screen. You're seeing the whole slide, but that link still works. So you said, Ty, we started using QR codes on job sites. Can you show us how to use them? Yeah, absolutely. So if you'll look at my camera, I should be on my camera. So if you need to zoom over or whatever to see me on my camera, then what you're going to do, we actually have QR codes as a team on the back of our phones. Some of you at IBS or to Build Expo saw that and actually got our information from that. So all you're going to do is you're going to open up your camera app. So it's going to look, you should be seeing me right now, right? You're going to open up your camera app, and you're literally going to hover your camera over the QR code. And just like you're going to take a picture of it, but you don't. And as you're doing that, you'll see a link pop up. And in this case, when you hovered over this one, it says flowcode.com. You click on the link on your camera. So don't take a picture of it. Click on a link on your camera. But the other thing I want to show you that I think is really important is Jesse's done this for us. You can lose track of your QR codes really, really quick. Ty, I'm with you, brother. That's why I make the joke. I make the joke about myself. But look down here. We've got a whole section just of QR codes because we lose track of them. So Jesse puts them all in the same folder for us, so we know exactly where to go get those QR codes. Ty, laugh out loud. I'm over 40, but do know. Oh, you do know how to use it. Okay. All right. Hey, do you mind refreshing your question, Ben? When you say, can you show us how you use them? Well, one of the biggest ways we use them is in our presentations. So just like you saw just now in the presentation right here, and then that leads you to something that we can connect through. And so that's how we use them. But reform your question if I didn't answer it. I want to make sure I get that answered. Shannon, you put on here, if this roadmap is accessible through your website, do you make it password protected so only those who are allowed to access it can see it? Absolutely. So let me go here and I'll actually do it for you so you can see it. This company we work with has actually given me access to this. So that's why I have this passcode. And I think it dots out the passcode. So if it doesn't, I'm not going to allow you to see it. But actually, I'm going to hit stop share for just a second and let this pop up to make sure I'm not sharing something proprietary. Okay. The only thing you'll see is the username, but that's okay. You can't see anything else. So there's your login right there. And now when I log in, it'll take a minute because Zoom's running in the background. But when I log in, all right, Luke, I see you got to jump, and I thank you for that. So I'm going to get Thomas, you guys together, you and Peter together. Okay, so there you see their dashboard. So there's their whole team dashboard. I know some of you want to see this. There's a whole team dashboard. And some of you are thinking, well, Scott, how big is this business? Because this isn't like us. The answer is it's irrelevant. This could be a $50 million company or a $1 million company or a $300,000 company, right? This whole back end probably cost them $2,000 to build with a developer, okay? And so on here, the owner writes an annual letter. Actually, we have all of our, it says access is not allowed. We have all of our owners write annual letters to their team. Something's going on with the browser. It's not allowing me to get in. But basically, if you click each one of these, those of you in construction, they actually have a project management board. They're not allowed to email each other. They have to send messages through the portal. It's the only way so that they're not distracted. Ty, you refine this down here. Great. Thank you. Backup phone. Great idea. What specifically do you use QR codes for? Yes, marketing primarily. We have not used it yet for training videos, but it's easy. Here's the basic thing to remember about QR codes is they are simply a redirect to wherever you want somebody to get to, boom, quickly. So Ty, do you mind telling me what industry you're in? And we'll come up with a couple of work uses for it. So just write down there what, actually, Ty, can you come off mute? Let's just back and forth verbally. If you can come off mute, just say, hey, and we'll talk so everybody can hear it. All right, you may not be able to do that. So yeah, just basically the general principle is whatever you want to lead something to online, the QR code leads them to online. But the other cool thing about the QR code on the back of the phone is it actually pulls up all my contact information and allows you to put it in your phone, boom, like that. And you can do some cool stuff around the contact information. You can put pictures up there, other links to websites and different things. So for those of you who are actively involved to sales, it's a great tool, especially if you're doing a bunch of networking, because business cards are just out, right? They're just out. So
can you hear me, Scott?
Oh yeah, I got you, Ty. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we're a custom home design build, and so we just started using them, and I got so excited. I was putting them on everything. So like we'll put it on our sign out by the street on the job site, so people walking by can click on it, and then it pulls up our website with that specific house on the website. And then I'm using it for the subs, and I think I was going overboard. I was getting in the weeds on it and using them too much, but I was just seeing how you use them specifically for your business to just try to get some other ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's the primary way we use it is for contact exchange and then for redirects. So just like that application for coaching, we've got that healthy assessment that we do. Let's see, we've got QR codes for, calendar links. That's another big one. So if you shoot a QR code, this is a really big deal. If anybody doesn't use something called Calendly, so for instance, one of our coaches, Brent, right here. So you can go on Brent's schedule and we'll take a QR code, somebody will shoot it and it'll go straight to this thing. And you can see Brent's schedule right away. It's one of our coaches. So you can go, oh, wait, I've got next Tuesday open. So let me go there. What does he have? Okay. That one doesn't work for me. All right, let me go Monday. Oh, 10:30, that works. You hit confirm and you can go in here and just schedule a meeting right away. It goes to everybody's calendar. It's done. And your QR code can take you to that. And so it's really, really slick to be able to do that. But the thing I want you guys to take away is once you start doing this and building your master process roadmap, make sure that you've got something on your process roadmap, Ty, for those QR codes. Because to your point, I get carried away with them, right? I get carried away and we'll lose track of all that stuff. So this will help you simply and easily lose track of that. Ty, does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. And I love that calendar idea. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's be a game changer. Um, if you guys are, where are you guys at, Ty? Where are you guys located?
Gulf Breeze, Florida.
Oh, that's right. You guys are down in Florida. If
Yeah.
you take your superintendents down in Florida, see, this is what happens a lot with superintendents. They go, "Oh, Ty, man, I don't have time. I'm getting calls from subs and vendors and partners and all this kind of stuff all the time. And, man, I don't have time and I don't feel like I can get anything done and whatever." Ty, what you can do as the owner is give them permission to have boundaries on their time and say, the only time I want you meeting with vendors, customers, whatever, is from 9 to 12, Monday through Thursday, right? And so you give them parameters. You're like, "Scott, was that realistic?" Trust me, it's realistic. You give them parameters and when they can meet and are available to outside people. And then you set up a calendar link just for those times where people can only book time with them in between those hours. Guys, and this goes for everybody, you will be amazed at when you put boundaries on your time, I will fall into your schedule. See, I put a boundary on you today, 1:00 Eastern today. That was my boundary. None of you decided that. I did. And guess who showed up? You did. And so you came into my boundary. Now you give me a boundary of when to come into, and we can do that. We can do that. All right. Hey guys, any other questions? Any other questions? While you're thinking about that, I'm going to ask you a final question before we go. And again, just a reminder for that coaching application, I've left it up there on the screen. I want to ask you, what was your one big takeaway from this masterclass, number one? And then what's another masterclass that you believe you would need help on? All right. What's your one big takeaway from today? And action item. What are you going to do? Right. And then, because we keep all this chat window data that you guys give us. And then what's another masterclass that you want us and that you need help with in your business? So I want you to think about things that are business specific. What do you need help with? And what big roadblocks are you running up against? So go ahead and do that right now, if you don't mind, right before you take off. And again, one last plug for our coaching application. I've seen a bunch have already come in. So if you haven't done that yet, go ahead and do that. And that is there's no strings attached. That is a live call. Here's my only ask. If we reach out to you after taking a look at your application, please show up to the time that we ask of you. Okay. It's my only question. All right, Ruby, you put every process documented and set boundaries. Hey, remember this, Ruby, boundaries bring freedom. Boundaries bring freedom. All right. Very good. Boundaries bring freedom. All right. What's one thing? So Ruby put on there, Alex, you put Calendly. You're terrible with scheduling. Well, let's fix that. Let's fix that. All right. What else? What's your one thing as you're thinking through this? Creating process allows me to equip and empower my team. Thank you, Kimberly. And again, those of you, what do you need us to teach on for a masterclass from here? Simply getting a vision of the master process roadmap is helpful. Craig, thank you. Thank you for that. All right. So we're going to formally let you go, and we're going to keep this chat window open. I want you to finish out with your one thing. And then also, Ty, you put my business as my avenue to serve others. Oh my gosh, I could go for days about that. Your business is your mission. We keep looking around for all these other things. I want to give this. I want to give this because I don't feel like I'm making an impact in my business. No. Your business, Ty, how many people do you have that work in your business? Just, you can either say it or type it down. Ty, you got 6 people. All right, I want you to think about this. Ty, you're going to go through life in your 40s and go, God, I just don't feel like I'm having an impact on anybody. You got 6 people who statistically have 2.5 people that live with them, right? So now we're up to about 12, 15. I don't like to do math in public, but 12 to 15 people that you directly influence in your business. You directly influence in your business. And yet we constantly look outside to find other things that we can do, right? No. Dive into your business, work on your business, and you will impact those people in your business. All right? Okay. John, thanks for that. Tell us what you need help with. Liz, you put when you own a small business and work with, oh my goodness, how do you balance making a living versus making a killing? What is comfortable for the business owner and the founder to make when the business is successful? Liz, you may see a podcast on that in the coming weeks. By the way, if you haven't listened to the My Business on Purpose podcast, go subscribe to it. It's totally free in Spotify or your podcast app. And once you get in there, you can subscribe. We usually take questions just like that, and we answer them on our podcast so that you have that content. It's also really good training for you and your team. So let me show you what that podcast looks like. It's right there. If you can see it on my screen, let me hit done. So right there, that's what it looks like. And just search My Business on Purpose, hit subscribe. We've got over 600 episodes on that podcast that will go about. Okay, guys. Hey, thank you. Thanks for making time. Thanks for setting aside the time to be able to do this. Mike, Patrice will be following up with you. Everybody who filled out the coaching application, we will be going over that as a coach team. Thomas will have those as a director of coaching, and they'll begin to sift through those and start to set up times where we can have conversations around that. I am so grateful that you invested your time with us. Thanks for trusting us with that. I hope it was valuable. Thanks for staying on, and look out for our masterclasses. We'll have more coming. But also for the emails that we sent. We try not to barrage or bombard, but to send helpful, valuable information. That's what we're here to do, is to help liberate you from the chaos of working on your business. Shannon, I'm going to ask Jesse if we have a recording of this. I'm not sure, but I'll have her reach out to see if we've got a recording for that. Okay, everybody, we'll leave this running just in case there's any more input that you want. Hey, Kim, oh my gosh, from Ghana. Yes, I remember. I'm so glad you showed up. All right, you just made us worldwide today. So that's awesome. Hey, again, put on here what you need help with. We'll continue to collect that chat, and we're going to formally say thank you, let you go, and trust that you're going to put this into action so that you can live out your business on purpose. Thanks.